Okay, Cecilia.
Hold on. Oh, hey, there we go. All right. Crazy. Okay, hold on just a minute. I have to do one more thing.
Right, hold on. Plus three. Here we go.
Okay. They come here then. Hmm. Ah, okay.
Okay.
All righty. I think got it now. Good Lord. It's always the technology. It's so crazy.
All right, great. All right, so we're on Zoom. We're good with that. Um, we're going to start in about a minute. We'll be starting in a second. And okay. Let's see. Wait a second. We're going to go live with all the other. Okay, great. Fantastic. Okay. Welcome, everybody. We're live.
I'm gonna
And
do opening mantras first.
yeah. Okay, hold on a second. Welcome, everybody, to this Easter weekend live webinar. My name's Paul Aurier, and we've got Cecilia Trahan in the house. So we're going to begin. We had a little bit of technical difficulties, but that's just normal and par for the course. So what we do to really kind of offset the energy of all this chaos is by doing the introductory mantras. So let's begin.
Om, Om, Om. Guru Brahma, Guru Vishnu, Guru Devo Maheshwara, Guru Sakshat Parabrahmam, Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Om Suklam Bharadaram Vishnum Sashivaranam Chaturbhujam Prasanavaranam Dhyaye Savavigno Prashante. Om Bhurvasubha Tassaviturvahenyam Bhagodevasya Dhimahi Yo Yo Naha Prachodayat. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Welcome, everybody. We're going to be recording this beautiful. Welcome, everybody, and to the podcast for Easter Day weekend and the Saints and Miracles of Jesus and Sri Kaleshwar webinar. And it's Easter weekend, so we can expect nothing but phenomenal miracles to happen. And but at the same time, this whole webinar is about miracles and the saints that perform them, but it's also about accelerating our own self-awareness, self-realization, and our ability to access this supernatural energy. So it's time, this is the time that is really perfect for talking about the miracle energy, because we are in the midst of it over this past 1 week and this weekend, especially because it's about the resurrection, which is about the death of the old and the rebirth of the new, and to resurrect that within us, which is divine. So we're going to talk about saints and their miracles, and we're going to talk specifically about Jesus Christ as a self-realized saint, and also Swami Kaleshwar, and also Shirdi Sai Baba, and all the great saints, and the similarities between them and their ability to access the supernatural. So that's what we're going to be talking about today. So we just did the opening mantras to invoke the saints, to invoke the divine, to invoke Mother's energy, to invoke the angels and the divine souls to be present here in this webinar, so that everyone can really feel and experience and witness some of that energy. So I wanted to introduce myself. My name is Paul Aurier, and I am co-hosting this with Cecilia Trahan. Say hi, Cecilia.
Hello, everybody. Thank you for joining our webinar.
And, the reason why both of us are talking today is because we both studied in India and the United States, Sri Kaleshwar's path, which talks about a lot of the miracles that the saints performed. He also talked about that we as everyday people can access and to really connect to the same type of energies. We just have to have the roadmap and the tools by which we can do that. So I am in the Shirdi Sai Temple here in Los Angeles as a backdrop, and this is where we conduct all our seminars and our workshops. And in this section, we're going to talk a little bit about our backgrounds. Cecilia had some pretty amazing experiences and miracle darshans in India. I also participated in it while I was in India, and we're going to talk about that. And we're going to talk a little bit about the mechanisms. We're going to talk a little bit about, how these saints do what they do and what they were able to perform. So hopefully we'll get into that. So I'm going to hand it over to Kausiki, and she'll talk a little bit about Swami Kaleshwar and Jesus as a comparison of two amazing saints, and also the relationship between both of them, and how they were both able to access it. So Kausiki, go ahead and take it on.
Hi, everybody. So as Paul was saying, now's a really good time to connect to the energy that is happening Easter weekend. Jesus was an amazing soul. Swami said he was the highest peak soul that came on the planet. And he performed during his life, and especially at the peak moment, which is called the crucifixion, which is really a transcending and an understanding of the whole gamut of what is the life and the death, and understanding that it's just a continuation, but it's also letting go of fear of what that means and being able to go out of your body and come back into your body. Soul travel is another name for it, but he performed some pretty amazing yogas or techniques in order to give us, humanity, the glimpse into the supernatural and into what is possible for every human being with the hard work. So, Swami also, as well as Shirdi Sai Baba and many other saints who are in India, not only India, you can go into Padre Pio, or you can go into other saints that are around, or even, other traditions, we're able to perform miracles. But particularly Swami and Jesus had a special relationship that goes all the way back to when Jesus was here on the planet. In order to come in, any master, any divine soul, any soul, really, who comes on the planet has to go through a training phase, a testing phase, before they recognize or remember, because when you're born, this covering called Maya covers the soul's remembrance of what it really truly is. And so in order for these masters to remember what they came for, they all had to go through some intensive practice and sadhana meditation. They all had a teacher or a guru or master that would help them to remember. So Jesus had a teacher. He was in India. There's writings in Tibet. So why did he come here? He had to learn. He had to learn these techniques. Now, initially, him learning these techniques started when his mother was pregnant, because she was also doing sadhana. She was a very high divine soul. And so she, while pregnant, were doing these practices that also the baby receives. So during that time, he was being trained as well in the womb. So it started way before he ever birthed. So he had to do these meditation or these sadhanas. Same with Swami. Swami didn't really understand until Shirdi Sai Baba came to him at the age of 14 and said, you need to remember. You need to remember what you're doing. And he came to him and took away that layer of that covering, that Maya that covers the soul from remembering. Also, Jesus appeared to Swami and said, do you remember me? And he said, yes, I do. And he said, do you remember what you promised? And Swami said, yes, I do. He said 5 times he gave Jesus the assurance that he was going to bring forward this knowledge that was given during Jesus's time for humanity, but got lost. That link, that bridge got lost. So, what did they do? What did they accomplish? Well, they accomplished, mastery of the 5 elements. In order to do miracles, you have to really understand how to master the five elements, how to connect to Mother Divine, the angels, Shiva, because there's permissions that need to happen in order to provide, these miracles for people. And where did they get this knowledge? The ancient palm leaf books. So Swami had the great fortune of being able to have these ancient palm leaf books. Not only that, he was able to decipher them because Paul can attest he's helped to decipher some of them. They're not easy. They're kind of written a little bit in code. And so there were these ancient books that were written by the rishis. I believe Swami had a book written by Jesus. So
Why don't
all these mantras,
why don't we show one of these palm leaf books?
you got a picture?
Yeah.
So
Uh,
these so the palm leaf books have these formulas, these mantras, yantras that are like a roadmap. Swami's greatness was that he was able to extrapolate from these texts what was necessary for humanity at this time. And then before actually teaching them and bringing forward, he would test them out himself, do the processes, see what the results were before bringing them forward to the students. So both masters, both Jesus as well as Swami, were able to really learn and implement these practices. What was I going to say? Swami also, during the time of Jesus, was there, in another, incarnation. We're all cycling in and out until we no longer have to do that. So he was there helping during that time as well, helping Mother Mary as well as Jesus. So here you can see, a picture, and these books are not big, right, Paul? They're small.
yeah, they're like 2.5 inches by 8 or 9 inches. And what are we looking at here, Kowski? This is
This is Mahakali. This is a picture of Ma, and also on the other side is that Shiva Lingam on the other side. But this is Mother, and what's special about Mother in this yantra, this is the Mahakali yantra, is in her eyes. You'll see bijas. Bijas are seed syllables of creation that are in a lot of the mantras because they have a specific energy to them. And these are written in Telugu. So on the eyes is on one side, that would be the right side because you're backwards to me, G,
okay.
and the other side, Zus.
Yeah. So actually, the third eye is G,
G, okay.
right? And then on the two eyes, it's the Shiva SS, and then here is S Sa. So it goes Jesus. So you could see that, and this is written in the book Life and Times of Jesus Christ, where Swami talked about the processes. He talked about the processes for Mother Mary, what it took for her to be able to give birth to a divine soul like Jesus. And so the similarities here is that Jesus, as well as Swami Kaleshwar, studied the books.
Yep.
These palm leaf manuscripts are 3,000 to 4,000 years old. And it was something that we carbon dated from one of the palm leaf books. And, a lot of these palm leaf books and talks about the processes that not only Jesus performed, but also Swami Kaleshwar, because Swami took these ancient palm leaf manuscripts and the formulas and synthesized it down and tested it and shared it with his students. So that's why in this path, to be able to do the mantras, these are not ordinary mantras like Om Namah Shivaya, but these are mantras that are linked with yantras that are designed in processes in order to have an outcome. The ultimate outcome is to master the 5 elements, but also to connect to a divine soul like Shirdi Sai Baba, Jesus Christ, and Mother Divine. That's what's so amazing. So our objective here in this course or in this webinar is to start bringing together the similarities which Kelsey talked about that are so similar.
And we'll get further down, we'll start comparing the miracles that both of them did, and you're going to see that they are very similar. Little bit of a different view, but they're very similar, the same concept of what they performed.
Right. So Kowski, why are miracles so important to understand on the spiritual path? What role do miracles have? And why is it like, is it really that big of a deal? Or is it to get to the source of the miracles? Like, where do miracles come from?
That's a very good question. So, miracles are something that allows the mind or the person, I should say, to be able to see something that is out of the ordinary, that you can't explain. It's being able to manifest God's energy and power in some kind of form or action. So when somebody witnesses a miracle, it changes your perception of life, because now you're going, wow, that's kind of unusual. That's not your everyday occurrence. And it starts having you question, and it starts having you want to delve deeper into, well, what is behind all this? How did they go about doing the miracles? Is this something, I mean, Jesus said his students were going to be as like him or even greater. Well, what does that mean? That means that with our hard work, with our connection to our teacher and to the divine, we are also capable. So when we witness a miracle, some opening, some door happens, some energetic transmission occurs that we can feel. I mean, those of us who've been able to witness some miracle energy, you have this feel. It's like you on a deep soul level, you have this recognition that you are not just this body. You are the eternal soul that's always out. And how do I remember, and how do I get back to that knowing? And so when this miracles happen, you're receiving a lot of high positive energy. You're opening that door, especially the soul, maybe opening your third eye a little bit to seeing what's beyond the mundane. And at that moment that a miracle occurs, it's like everything stops. Everything stops. Your mind stops. Everything stops, because now your soul is remembering. It's like you have this awareness. And then after you leave, you kind of go, wow, what was let me think on, I mean, it takes a while to digest the energy and understand what took place, but from a gut or a soul level, you remember what your true form is. So the purpose of the miracles really is to help people remember we're not this body, we are the eternal soul constantly researching to go back to source and go back and to recognize our potential to come on the planet and help humanity in whatever capacity or whatever we're guided to do. And that's the purpose. I mean, Swami used to do a lot of miracles initially, and then he was like, okay, they're just chocolates because now you have to really understand. Now you have to do the work and you have to understand, you have to start doing the processes so that you start learning and becoming masters of your on your own. So why would Swami want to, I mean, Jesus performed many miracles. Was it was to help the people, yes, but was it also to get them to start waking up and following him and going, wow, there's something more here that we need to look at.
Right. It's like all of a sudden God pulled aside the curtains and all this light and all this energy and all this divine manifestations happen.
Mhm.
It's as if like, either through the grace of a saint, they'll pull a miracle. They have access to angels. They have access to Mother Divine. They have access to the miracles behind the five elements. So they're able to open doors, create a vortex, create a channel, and manifest this. I remember this very clearly. In your group, Jonathan Rosen was involved in a miracle. And we'll give examples of this. And Swami was in the Mandir, and he needed to perform a miracle to Jonathan because he was at that stage that he could handle the energy, right? And I remember Jonathan sharing with me. He said, what happened was that Swami was in the Mandir. It was just him and Swami. And Swami just kind of like waved his hands in the air. And then all of a sudden, Jonathan said it was like a tornado opened the ceiling of the temple. And then all of a sudden, a hand came out of the ceiling and gave Swami a power object, which he then gave to Jonathan. So it's almost like that. It's like the veil of the five elements disappears and God's energy, hand, form, whatever you want to call it, appears out of nowhere, which is a really, and for Jonathan to have that experience was like all of a sudden his mind stopped. I mean, he said his mind stopped and he was witnessing means with his two eyes, the manifestation of God and human existence touching. Boom, like that. So in that moment, Swami Kalashwar knew exactly what he was doing. He had the mantras, he had the techniques, he had the process, he knew what he was doing. And then he manifested into the creation from a place beyond our concept. And so he manifested something that held, like a power object, that held the energy of the divine in this creation.
So why? Okay. So you said it popped Jonathan's mind. But what is the purpose really? I mean, what is the purpose for doing all these miracles?
Well, look at the results. I mean, I can talk about my personal experience, Kowski.
Mm-hmm.
And I could talk about, the reason why I went to India, right, was because I was at the end of my rope. The world had no real nectar to it, no real purpose, no real divinity in it. I was working 16 hours a day. I was pursuing all the material wealth that I thought would make me happy. But I was supremely unhappy in my life for whatever reason. But I really felt that there was more to life than just the regular routines. So when I met Swami Kaleshwar and he performed miracles, whether it be manifesting sacred ash or putting his hand into hot coals in a fire pit or participating in a process every time during these moments, divine energy would enter the room, and I got a glimpse of that. There was supernatural energy available to me.
Mm-hmm.
That in the moment of the miracle, I sensed there was a power greater than me. And it gave me inspiration. It gave me hope. It allowed me to see that God really existed. And it wasn't a theory written in a book that was created by mortal men that I'm supposed to just take for granted or just take it on word
Face value.
and face value. So for me, and for a lot of people, they're looking for, how do I access the supernatural energy for whatever reason? Because you wanted to increase the faith and trust that God's power exists, which is one of the second reasons. One is to glimpse the supernatural. Okay. The other one, that the reason why saints do this is to instill and increase the faith of the devotees. We all know that we walk around like half zombies with, like, does God exist or does God not exist? I mean, let's face it, the world is a thick place, and we're being bombarded with material stuff that is perpetuating the matrix, perpetuating the hamster wheel, right? How many people can relate to the hamster wheel? It's like you wake up and, where's my first cup of coffee so I can feel half human, right? When I wake up in the morning, I try to meditate because that sets the tone.
Mm-hmm.
I can feel my soul connecting to the divine energy. And you go into that bliss mode because you connect. And that's what's so amazing about these experiences. So we talked about the second thing, increases your faith in trust that God really exists. There's also the transmission of healing energy that happens during these miracles. I know I sound really excited because I am excited because I experienced it, because I can remember the times and the moments where I experienced miracle, and I felt like this healing energy just descended into my body and my soul. And I felt every ounce of my body absorb those vibrations. Like, oh my God, God is here, and I'm feeling this energy. It's a bit intense, but it's like healing happens during it, The fourth thing that happens is that when you have these miracle moments, and I experienced this when I had my original darshan or process experience of Jesus Christ, I became so filled with humbleness and gratitude for that experience that it transformed the rest of my life since then. And that was in 2008.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I will have to say yes.
Yeah, because
That is true. Because
Kalsiki,
with my experience with it, our group also received uh a darshan, or the process to connect with Jesus deeply. And all I remember is that that experience opened my heart dramatically, like wide open. And then I had a remembrance of knowing, it was like this soul knowing that I've known Jesus forever. I've just known him forever. And tears of gratitude and humbleness. And it was it definitely changes your life, because it's just that energy transmission is pretty amazing. And so, for all of us, we don't know on a soul level what are what we're able to receive, I should say, from past lives. I don't remember past lives, but we don't know what we've done in past lives that allow us to have these experiences now. And so, as we're doing the work, each one of us, all of a sudden, you could be sitting in your room and have an experience, because now the time cycle and your hard work and you're purifying out, and everything coincides for that door to open and you to have an experience. So it's not like Paul and I are special. Everybody's special. And if you do the work and you're changing your energy and you're, purifying, that moment can happen anytime.
well, it actually did happen. We were able to go 2 years ago to Mount Shasta, and
Mhm.
we did a process. It was a retreat in Mount Shasta. Just so you know that the legacy of Sri Kalaswar still continues, and the miracle energy is very tangible and very much available. And we went to Shasta over a long weekend, 4 days, and I
Like connecting to Jesus's energy.
yeah, that was the intention
Mhm.
of the weekend. And we had amazing miraculous experiences, and we had amazing affirmations from the nature that the process was successful. And
Mhm.
so, a lot of amazing opportunities are available through meditation, classes, seminars, and retreats. And we're going to talk about that later on, because we're in the process right now of leading up to Guru Purnima, which is going to be a profoundly strong um, uh, opportunity. Everything, miracles and processes always happen around certain cycles of energy: full moons, new moons, Shivaratri, Guru Purnima, Navaratri, and
Christmas,
Christmas. All,
Easter.
yeah, exactly. So we're
Mhm.
in the midst of it right now. So let's talk about the next section, which I am very excited about. Kausiki is going to share with us a list that we researched about all the miracles that Jesus performed.
Mhm.
Then my section will talk about a list of the miracles that Swami Kalashwar performed. And I'm actually going to demonstrate, share with you a video where he actually performed a miracle while at his ashram in India. So, Kausiki, be a channel for Jesus. Share those miracles, please.
Okay, great. So the reason we're doing this is so that we wanted to compare the what Jesus did and what Swami did, and what we found out is there's a lot of amazing similarities. And now this doesn't just end at Swami or Jesus. Baba also did many miracles that are the same. There are other saints that have done the same kinds of things. It's just, for sake of time and the fact that this is Easter weekend, We wanted to compare with what Jesus and Swami did because they're very similar. So we know that Jesus did a lot of physical healing, healing the lepers, healing blindness, um, people, a woman touching his clothing and was healed. So there's a lot of the healing on the physical level, which basically is transforming the body's elements in order and to start stimulating that self-healing process that we have. Just like so many that
And a
we're
lot of
talking about, it's like
and
paralyzed
Kelsey,
man being healed, someone who was deaf and mute was able to hear and speak. Someone's ear that had been cut off, it regenerated. They also, casting out of demons, which is really interesting because when you're in that divine energy, we all have that capacity to remove, and there are processes to remove, negative or entities.
right, right.
Feeding the masses, couple things as far as like demonstrating mastery over the elements when he walked on water.
Right.
He calmed the storm. Turns water to wine. That's shifting the elements.
By the way, I was actually there during a miracle that Swami changed water to wine in front of like half a dozen people at the ashram. He did it on two different occasions, actually.
Yeah,
And
our group attempted.
and that's quite
We got
amazing.
close.
Quite amazing. And if I may just one second, the one time that he changed water to wine, he passed around to all of us in the group that was there. We tasted it, and it was the most amazing wine you could ever be able to taste. It's better than
Mm,
any Cabernet.
wow. And then also Jesus, raised the dead, Lazarus. Also, what is not in the Bible is Jesus, when he was in India, wanted to connect to the angels. Elephants have this propensity to really connect to the angels in a big way. They have those big old ears, and so they are able to really hear, and they're very sensitive. Elephants are highly sensitive. And so he put himself into the body of a dead elephant to experience, the angels. And that's a big yoga.
Right.
So,
Mhm.
you know, they're doing these uh to help. It's not, I mean, it's good to feed the masses, that kind of thing, but it's also to change their perception and get them to wake up. I mean, all of these are about getting people to wake up to what is behind the mundane and to follow him. And so he could teach. He wasn't holding on to the knowledge. He wanted to teach the knowledge. He taught it to his disciples. And so he was out hoping that the people who were really connecting and wanting to know more would follow him so he could teach people.
He actually wanted to, I think that leads itself to have his devotees do the same processes, like they say in the Bible. Jesus said that my disciples will be greater than me. And I think that is
That was his hope.
that was his hope, right? But at the same time, Shirdi Sai Baba also, he said that those people who come to my samadhi, they will receive tremendous amount of miracle energy and blessings. Same thing with Swami Kaleshwar. A lot of these miracles, are very dramatic, but you can see that the divine communicates to us in our meditations and during dreams.
Mhm.
And that's really a way that people can really gauge that they're receiving, miracle energy too. Terrence, you want to share last night's dream that about your miracle that happened during your sleep?
It was a bit of a flash, and it was kind of one of those dreams where it was super real, but then when you wake up, you don't always remember too much. uh, but yeah, I found myself in a temple space of some sort, and an entire practice was going on. I was asked to. There was a I don't there was a kind of a disc of some kind that was being held above my head, and I had a tool in my hands, and I was holding that up, and it had some heavy metals in there. There was lots of crystals and things like that, probably like crystal lingams and things like that. And I was asked to hold that, and I don't know, I was asked to be a part of the whole thing. Um, and it didn't last very long, as many dreams do. But it was Kalishwar that was running the session. Um, that's only the that's probably the second time that I've actually had a dream like that with somebody who was uh, who was on the planet at a time. And then right after that, we moved into another room where there was a lot of children there, but there was a woman standing behind the pulpit there, and it was obvious, and they were singing a song to Jesus, and I can't recall the song right off the top of my head. I knew it when I heard it, but I can't remember it right now. But they were singing, and we walked into that temple space, and then just about that time, I woke up. My cat walked across my body and woke me up. But I just found it pretty odd, pretty interesting. And I don't remember thinking in my mind that, oh yeah, we're going to do that workshop. I knew I was going to, but I wasn't thinking it when I went to sleep. But I certainly had a dream of doing a practice with Kalishwar and then moving into this temple where Jesus was being worshipped, and being a part of that for a little while before I was awakened. So very interesting, very unexpected, but also very cool.
So that's
So
interesting. You just triggered the dream I had last night. We were in India doing a fire ceremony, and there were a lot of people, and we were standing around the priest, and we were supposed to be doing certain things while we were there and helping and participating. We might have been at the same temple because it was very vivid, and I same thing, woke up and went, wow, that's interesting.
Mhm.
Hmm. Maybe it's the energy right now of this weekend.
yeah, so Terrence, this is a real, in my mind, because I've also had the same experiences of, I'm just going to say, do you think that you were soul traveling?
I mean, it's hard to say because I mean, if Kalishwar is still conducting practices with people in their astral form, then I would say, of course, because why else? And I realized, well, what I'm realizing now is I'm very curious now what it was and what was the purpose and result of me participating in that particular practice at the time. So I'm super, like, I'm paying attention, like what happened and how did I shift by having that experience and then coming back into my body and doing that. I can say that I feel energetically kind of light and a little bit exuberant. I don't feel very heavy, uh, and it's not just the coffee. So I wonder. I don't know. I've been kind of getting myself prepared to go into another phase of practice. But I really do wonder what was that. That what occurred to me was one of the videos that you showed where you were participating, And Kalishwar, I think, pulled uh, uh, a lingam or something out of the fire, which was a video I think you put up at a certain time. And I saw you there, bending over and helping out with the process. Well, that's what I felt like. I felt like I was in whatever that was, I was helping out with the process in a certain kind of way while the miracles or whatever were being generated. Now, I didn't really experience, well, I did experience, it was like, he pulled hundreds, it seemed like hundreds of crystal uh, lingams or forms. I could hear them when they were moving things around. I could hear them jumbling around on each other. I saw them kind of pouring in to the space. The more I think about it now, I saw that happening, but I just really I connected to it in that way. It was like, okay, I was helping. I was somehow being a part of the thing, and then I was watching all the miracle taking place. Uh, yeah, very interesting. That was a very vivid dream too, and I don't always have those kind where I get to bring things back and remember them like that. So yeah, I if it's possible, it probably happened because so now I'm just again I'm curious as to what it is that my in my energy body and myself received as a result of participating in it. And maybe it was just some form of verification that we were going to come to in this class. I don't know.
Exactly. So we've all had these experiences where it's our subtle body or our soul is receiving some energy. We're receiving in the moment through the experience of where I can almost assure you that soul traveling was happening and you were receiving divine energy and divine downloads, in these moments. And it manifested as a process that you were participating in. I was probably there. I was just too busy, all the particular, you know. But those moments are pretty phenomenal because we receive and we receive miracle energy. And wherever that energy is, Mother Divine's energy is also there. Whenever the miracles happen, Mother Divine is participating, but so is Shiva. And Shiva is oftentimes in the form of a divine soul, divine saint like that. So, I mean, your faith increased, right? After this thing, it was like, wow, right?
Yeah. Well, I'm heating up even as we're talking about it.
Yeah,
I'm heating up.
yeah,
My body's really starting to generate a bunch of heat. I'm even starting to sweat. There's so much heat being generated as we talk about it.
yeah.
So I know there had to be some kind of shift energetically.
Right.
That's about probably the best I can touch with
Right.
this, simple body of mine.
And
But
and all this stuff happens on a supernatural level that we're not fully conscious of. It seems like we need to get into that trance state where our soul leaves our body. And soul traveling happens as a natural progression several times a month. It's just that we're not conscious of it all the time. The beauty of this path is that as your soul begins to get stronger and more able to be conscious and aware, what's happening is that you can consciously be aware like you were in the dream. Hey, I'm here. Oh, wow, look at this. Swami's doing a process. I am participating at the soul level in this process. And look at all these other people that are here. It's a gathering of the souls, which is a miracle. It's period, full stop. That's the miracle energy because your soul is touching the divine. And that's what's so amazing. Yeah. So thank you for sharing that. Appreciate it. So I'm gonna also share the sections of Swami Kaleshwar with that lingam that you talked about. And I think that that is, that's really, those are the real amazing moments in life where you're actively involved with it. So we're going to talk a little bit. Kowski, were there any other miracles? We have these, all these miracles that Jesus did and performed. They're all in the Bible. And we had a list of them. It was just amazing. It's just, he healed countless number of people.
So the one thing that they didn't have in the Bible, though, is because only Swami brought it forward. And that was what happened during the crucifixion. So during the crucifixion, Jesus made an agreement with Mother Divine. He wanted to understand the life and the death. What is that cycle? And so he was like, do what you will, but at the end of it, I get to understand the life and the death, but I also get to merge with Mother. And so during that process, it was, and Paul will talk a little bit about Khandana yoga, which just means cutting and refixing. So if you look at the crucifixion, he used several different techniques, which was using the Kala chakra, which is the time cycle in his favor. He also, with the whole process of the crucifixion, was a Khandana yoga, even though his body wasn't per se like Swami did with demonstrating with the bird. He was still cut. His body was broken, but he also was able to soul split, which means he left just a portion of his soul there and take the rest out, so he didn't get damaged on a soul level. And he connected deeply with Mother Divine and Shiva to be able to take that physical pain, so he didn't experience that. And then afterwards, if you look at the Pieta that Mother Mary is holding Jesus on her lap, she knew techniques. She used the sacred ash. She knew techniques, the womb chakra, because the mother has a huge connection to their child because they birthed them and they are connected via the womb chakra all the way back to Divine Mother's womb chakra. So she was able to call his soul back into the body, fix the body. So it was a huge demonstration of the divine energies of understanding the life and the death. He also merged with Mahakali, the peak form of the mother, to be able to demonstrate these for humanity. And in that process, I'm sure whoever witnessed it got an amazing, mind-blowing experience. And Paul, you went to Israel, to the place where the crucifixion occurred and the energy was really still high after 2,000 years.
Right.
So, these are these things. And so Paul's going to talk a little bit about, because even Baba did Khandana yoga, these are high yogas. And of course these are masters. So something for us to aspire to.
Yeah. So you can see, okay, the purpose of us sharing these stories isn't to glorify the miracles, but to understand the mechanism, right?
Yes, understand the mechanism.
And part of the mechanism of miracles is to consciously, through process, to be able to access the energy, the source of the miracles, which is the Shiva Shakti energy. That's why Sri Kalshwar was so intent to have his students to be able to access Mother Divine. Why? Because she is the source of the healing energy, one part. So when you're talking about healing, you have to understand in the context of Jesus had a relationship with Mother Divine and Shiva. Sri Kaleshwar had the same relationship with Mother Divine and Shiva. Shirdi Baba also was able to access the energy of Mother Divine and Shiva. Swami Kaleshwar's process and purpose is to get people to the place where they have the same soul capacity as Jesus, so that they could handle the negativity and to be able to invoke and introduce the healing energy of Mother Divine and Shiva. That's the whole process of the Sri Kaleshwar University, and the healing that we teach. Is what we're doing is we're helping all the students to be able to connect to the angels, to connect to Mother Divine, to connect to the divine souls that are part of the tradition, that are there to help us make that connection so that we can experience it, like Terrence said, so that they communicate directly to us in dreams, in real life, through the nature. So what are these processes that Swami Kaleshwar introduced? Well, he had a series of techniques: the 5 elements, the outer elements, the inner elements, Surya Nadi, Chandra Nadi, Data Kriya, womb chakra. We talk about the womb chakra a lot here at the temple. Why? Because that's your creation point, okay? But the creation point has to be purified so that we can manifest and connect to Mother Divine in a conscious way, not in a selfish way, but in a serving way, so that we can be instruments for the divine, so that we can experience the divine energies, so that we can experience the miracle energy, so that we can experience God's force through us. How does that happen? Well, very simple. Swami Kaleshwar used mantras, yantras, and the processes to get people to receive quantums of energy. And when you receive those quantums of energy, your vibrational field expands, your soul energy expands, your connection, your intuition expands, your consciousness expands, your belief systems get purified out, your perception gets purified out, so that we can hold more of that Christ consciousness in us on a day-to-day basis. That even in the midst of a storm, right, we're able to handle the poison and balance it. That's the miracle. And then automatically, when you're connecting on it, automatically your soul connects to the divine. You feel lighter. You feel happier. You feel more present. You feel God's energy, even in the midst of chaos and turmoil. Right? So that's part of the Sri Kaleshwar path and his mission, to create masters and to create people that have the ability to connect to the divine themselves. So that was my download for the day. Yeah, because I've been doing this for 25 years. 14 years in India with a saint. And even when I came back, I had to digest that energy. Like, what did I receive? Is it real, or was it just a big dream? And how has it changed my life? Am I happier? Am I lighter? Is my heart open? And is my heart open to the people around me? Is my heart open to the divine? Those are the questions that I posed. And I would say, I would say yes to all of those. Okay, so I want to be able to share a video with you guys of Swami Kaleshwar performing a miracle. It's very apropos. And Terrence, it's the same video, but I'm going to start it at a different place where he came in and he was working with the divine energies in a way where he wanted to balance the elements. You know, you'll hear us talk about the elements are such an integral part of the masters who connected to Mother Divine. It's all about understanding the energy of the elements. Sri Kaleshwar was able to use the water elements to purify. Shirdi Baba was able to take his stick and hit the ground, and then water would spurt out of it, right? That was one of the miracles that Baba used to do. Jesus was able to master the water element by walking on water, right? Yeah, you're muted, Kausuke.
Jesus's element really was the water element, because that was the bleeding, which is also earth, but you know, he was the Piscean age. It was the water element.
Right. And Shirdi Baba was the fire
Now we're into air.
Right. And Shirdi Baba was the fire element. He was,
Right.
you know, Shirdi Baba was able to there was a story about a kid that had fallen into
It was on the way to be falling in.
on the way to be falling in 10 miles away from Shirdi Baba. And the mother just simply panicked. But the first thing that came out of her mouth, because she had faith, was like, Baba, help me.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, and so, you know, it's really funny. On the other side of it, Shirdi Baba puts his hand into the fire, and people are looking at Baba, not knowing what he's doing. And it's like, oh my God, Baba, you know, you just put your hand into the fire pit. What's going on? You know, it wasn't until later that people realized that it was through the fire element that Shirdi Baba's soul was able to connect 10 miles away.
And
So-
save that baby
and save
from
that
falling
baby.
into the fire. Mhm.
Yeah. And that was his soul capacity. And so
Mhm.
we're gonna, you know, I can go through the list of miracles, you know, Khandana yoga. Khandana yoga is destroying and refixing something.
Mhm. Cutting and refixing.
Cutting and refixing, you know. I was there when Swami Kaleshwar, you know, worked with the same Khandana yoga. He performed it on a chicken that, you know, the head was cut, the chicken died, and then within 24 hours, the chicken came back to life. Jesus, the same thing, but he was amazing because he used his body. They crucified him, which was a death in a sense to the physical, but his soul didn't die. But then Jesus came down off the cross, and then through a process of miracle energy, he was able to have his body refixed, his soul refixed. Same thing with Shirdi Baba. Shirdi Baba did the same miracle of Khandana yoga. It's written in the book. It's written in the book. You know, one of the, you know, I can just imagine what was the karma of the woman that, which, like at 2 a.m, she came to Shirdi Baba's temple, his masjid, and she walks.
Okay.
She walks into the
Not yet.
she
I've
walks
been kind of. Sure, thanks.
and she,
Terrence, you're unmuted.
right, got it. So she walked in, and lo and behold, Baba's body was cut into pieces. An arm is over here, a leg was over there, Baba's head is over there. So she freaked out. She called the police and she said, Baba's been killed and murdered by some like crazy person. And then the police and everybody in the town went to Baba's masjid, Baba was simply sitting at the fire pit, smoking his chillum, looking at everybody as if they're crazy, like, excuse me, it's 3 in the morning. What are you doing here? Type of thing. And people are like, this is what happened, you know? So it's a demonstration of all these saints are so much in the soul level and not so much identified with the body, because they've pierced the illusion of death and life, and have and understand that their inner consciousness and their soul is stronger than the illusion of the death of the body. So now I'm gonna play a video of Swami performing a miracle, and it's quite, I was there, and it was just amazing. But I'm gonna stop talking so you guys can just experience it yourself. You can see how he's talking to the fire. Look at him. He's using his fire finger, and he was so masterful with the fire element. He knew what he wanted. It's so amazing. I didn't even have to think. Automatically knew what to do. Look at that, look at that, look at that, look at that. Pulling it out of the fire. Okay. Yeah, that was an amazing process, and being in that particular space, or being so linked in the moment, just no thoughts, just following the directions and the energy of the manifestation. You can look at it and really see the miracle as it's unfolding. And he gave us a little glimpse by saying the water and the fire element balance, then pull it up. That's the level of mastery that he was at. Hey, I think it's been a really wonderful sharing with you guys. Before we leave, I'm just going to give a couple of short announcements. We plan on having a couple of classes and courses coming up. Womb chakra is May 18th, Kowski? Yeah,
Yes, May 18th, 10 a.m. Pacific time. That's a Sunday.
right. And we're also planning to see when is the best time to do a retreat. And the retreat is, we're in the process of planning and figuring out,
Process of planning it.
you know, we want to do that. That way you can immerse yourselves into practices, meditation, mantras, community, being together with other people, doing specific practices for a specific outcome. For sure, we're going to be having Guru Purnima happening in July. We're going to also announce it. But right now, the womb chakra is our next class, and also 5 elements class. And also, for those people watching, I would recommend sending us an email, and it'll be linked either instant message over at Facebook or YouTube, and we'll put you on a mailing list so that as courses and classes, short and long, are going to be happening, that you can participate. So, any other points, Kowski? And then we'll do a quick 5-minute meditation where you can just quietly sit and meditate. If you don't have a mantra, you can use Om Namah Shivaya. You can do your personal mantra silently inside as we do this. Do it for 5 minutes, and let's really connect to the divine energies. This webinar has been really amazing. I've been feeling the energy here.
Mhm.
Jesus
Definitely.
Jesus is present. Baba is present. Swami Kaleshwar is present. Mother is present, because wherever you have a Shiva energy, Mother's energy is also there. That's a mechanism that we strive to accentuate with everybody attending, that it's knowing how to pull the Mother's energy with the Shiva's energy, and how to pull the Shiva's energy through the elements, and how to pull through the silence and the trance to connect to the divine energies, and to be able to access all the knowledge and information and the vibrations at a very, very high level. So we'll sit for 5 minutes and we'll just silently just meditate, and then we'll close the webinar. Om.
Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Loka samasta sukhino bhavantu. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.
Thank you, everybody, for attending today's beautiful webinar. We'll be having many more coming up. You have a blessed Easter, a fantastic meditation, and we look forward to seeing you all again very, very, very soon. May Jesus's energy bless you. Baba's energy bless you. Sri Kalashwar's energy bless you. And Mother's energies bless you, and all the angels. Take care, everybody. God bless.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Welcome. Thank you.
Thank you both.
Thank you.